Konnichiwa, Jay here, and welcome to the OverMangaCast. That time we woke up in a podcast and had to explain manga. Our heated adventures over-analyzing manga we find interesting. In this episode, we kick off our third edition of No Read November and watch our favorite 2015 hit, Attack on Titan Part 1. Oh boy, this is going to be a long one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the OverMangaCast and our No Read November series, where,
So we're doing Death Note again, right?
No, we're not doing Death Note again, Jake. My name is Sam, and as always at the top of the show, we talk about our familiarity with the franchise that we consumed this week. Attack on Titan. When the anime first started coming out years ago, I watched several episodes. I got up to the infamous it takes Eren 5 episodes to move a boulder arc, got really bored and quit, and since then I've really only listened to whatever Linked Horizon did to make the OP sound cool again every other season. That's about the extent of my knowledge of AOT. How about you, Jake?
Even less, I never watched the anime, I never read the manga. The only thing I know of Attack on Titan is that, its OPs are amazing, and I will play them on loop just at random because they're amazing. That is all of my exposure to the franchise.
How about you, Matt?
So, Attack on Titan, I am about halfway through Season 2 with the constant goal of, I'll get back to it at some point, and it ended a bit ago, so now I have all the time in the world.
Indeed. And you, Jay? What's your familiarity with AOT?
Same, about halfway through Season 2, and I have to agree, the OPs slap. Most of my exposure to Attack on Titan, after I watched Season 1, I was in Japan, actually, and it was just everywhere. And that kind of motivated me to continue, watching and reading, but that has been on pause for a while. Kind of the hype had just died down a bit.
Yeah, so we all at least have a little bit of familiarity with AOT in that regard. Big, bombastic, lots of crazy shit happening. The 3D maneuver gear looks really cool. This movie's fucking boring.
Yeah, I mean, no amount of familiarity with the series is gonna help you.
If anything, it will make it worse.
Speaking as the one who has the least amount of familiarity with the series by far, I was aggressively bored, but I also wasn't insulted by how bad it was, because I didn't know it already, and you can't care less about something that you don't know. So at least I could parse out why it was so boring, because I basically spent the entire movie analyzing why it was so terrible.
This movie is an hour and a half long, but while Full Metal Alchemist, which we watched earlier in No Read November, was 2 hours and 15 minutes, a significant chunk longer, this movie felt double the length.
Much longer.
Mm-hmm. It felt interminable.
Full disclosure, both Sam and I fell asleep at different points in this movie.
And as I was dissecting the corpse of a movie that we're dealing with right now, they didn't miss anything. They asked me what they had missed, and I couldn't tell them anything because it was that dull.
Well, let's get through the slog that is going to be this plot synopsis, and by slog I mean probably pretty quick because nothing happened.
Yeah. The one major change is that in the manga and anime series, the Titans are a well-known factor. Scout brigades will occasionally go outside the wall and get eaten, and it sucks. In this, the Titans showed up 100 years ago, myrtleized a bunch of people, humanity retreated behind the walls, and that's the last anyone's seen of them. To the point where Eren isn't even entirely convinced they exist.
Eren's actually convinced they don't exist and is just an excuse to keep him within the wall, because the movie opens with Eren... Actually, the movie opens with Armin.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Who's an inventor?
Yeah, he built a weird alarm clock that doesn't work, but also someone tells him he needs to be careful about his inventions because they aren't allowed.
Technology isn't allowed.
There's a lot of technology in this, though.
It tries to approach it from the humanist point of view, where technology is inherently evil and leads to war and conflict, and that's why it's banned. Which
is a weird take to have when your main villains are entirely biological humans. Like, to be like, technology is the enemy, when the enemy is functionally giant meat puppets is kind of not...
Yeah, this movie also has a lot of weird anachronisms because the original Attack on Titan, it's very pastoral. There's...
The original Attack on Titan takes place in, objectively, a medieval society.
Yeah, the most advanced technology is the 3D maneuver gear and cannons. In this, we see missiles, we see helicopters.
It's very post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's got a very grungy post-apocalyptic, even a kind of World War I movie vibe going on at some points, as the characters are being shuffled around in, like, armored troop transports later on.
Yeah, that was weird. So essentially, the beginning of the movie is Armin, Erin, and Mikasa running around with Erin basically going like, hey, we live in a society. The Titans are just the government trying to keep us down. You see these big cool walls? I bet there's nothing on the side. Let's go climb it up. And because
I saw something that had a blue color painted on it. Therefore, the ocean objectively exists, and the Titans don't.
Oh, yeah. They find some wreckage of what appears to be a missile, but it's got, like, World War II bomber painting on the side of a woman in a blue background. Nothing indicates that's the sea. They just go, yes, the sea, it must exist.
Yeah, it's a bombshell painting, and it's just...
And then they run to the wall.
And Erin is posing atop of it, like the anime character he is.
They're at the wall. Erin's essentially like, well, we'll just climb it and see what's on the other side. And because, I guess, literally everyone in this movie has super hearing, the second he says he's going to climb the wall, a military police unit comes by and is like, hey, are you trying to climb that wall? That's illegal.
And Erin starts punching them all in the face.
Yep.
I had a moment where I was concerned we were once again going to see the elite military get their asses handed to them. But to be fair, they did upgrade to the level of the Titans and start beating Erin up, so...
The military in this, I think it was clear that they were, like, trying to hold back and arrest him, not just shoot him. Because, like, he's a stupid kid. What's he gonna do?
They are teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, the movie tells us they're teenagers. These are very clearly adult actors.
Yeah, they look to be 20-something. A guy shows up to talk to Erin. Suda is his name. And, it's like, yeah, stop your fighting. I remember being a young kid full of piss and vinegar like you. Come on, let's just go back to town and Colossal Titan!
The Titans haven't existed in 100 years. No one even knows if they're true. You said I didn't exist.
Yeah, conveniently right when they got approval to do an outside scouting mission. Don't worry, there's gonna be an outside scouting mission because the Titans have been gone for so long. Excuse me?
God, I really hate what they did with the Colossal Titan. For one, the CG is not very good.
For the amount of this movie that is in CG, it is not great.
Yeah.
I think one of the big problems is when we see the Colossal Titan initially, it has a very stylized look to it, and it's pretty clear that, like, this is stuff used in promotional material they put the most love into, and they're kind of trying to imply that this is going to be a stylized thing, but then you realize, no, they were covering over the fact that they have garbage special effects, and they're just trying to distract you long enough.
The thing that I didn't like about the Colossal Titan was, in the show, the Colossal Titan doesn't really speak. It's just this huge, looming, menacing presence. It doesn't say anything, it just kicks the wall in. Mm-hmm. But in this, it's going like, it's waving all around, going like,
and it's also worse because, as we're comparing it to the show makes it very obvious what the Colossal Titan is trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. You know, kick the wall in to let the other Titans through. In the movie, however, the Colossal is largely stationary, at least from our vantage point, to the point where it just looks like it's leaning to and fro and no one can figure out what the heck it's doing.
The wall starts caving in. We see a vague swinging shadow that I guess was a foot.
Yeah. There are some very serious Tokusatsu Godzilla vibes in the soundtrack with all the trumpets.
There's also some strong, like, Tokusatsu Godzilla vibes in the fact that all the Titans appear to be CGI-modified extras in suits.
Yeah.
Which, all the Titans in Attack on Titan, they're all, like, weirdly, like, not human. and we get to see one of those, which is Big Nose Titan, who's much smaller than the others, run past the front of the camera. Every other Titan you see is just some person in a nude bodysuit with some CGI on top.
Yeah.
For me, wasn't a huge deal killer. Like, it didn't kill it for me. In fact, I actually appreciated it. I liked it artistically. It was a good touch just because it was more, for me, kind of more terrifying.
Well, the whole point of the Titans, and the reason why their aesthetic is scary, is the uncanny valley aspect of it. And I didn't think it looked great, but it got across sort of the intention of that to me. So it's like, that was very much the case where it's like, for me, it's a take it or leave it moment, and I don't care. This movie has bigger problems.
Yeah, like, I think for me, the uncanny valley would have been a step away from what they did with the Titans, because the Titans look like people in bodysuits. That's not uncanny valley yet.
Yeah. You can see behind the veil. And it kind of takes away the fact that, like, it reminds you you're watching a movie.
Mm-hmm. So Titans go rampaging. They eat some people.
Is that Armin's dad?
This is... Okay. Important thing. Erin's parents have been dead for a long time. We don't see his dad there. There's no mention of his dad. We don't see his mom because she's apparently been dead since before the Titans even showed up.
Which is a huge plot point because she's supposed to die.
Yeah. And so our three heroes are running through the town in the panicked crowds, and they hear a scream, and Erin looks up and sees a person getting carted off by one of the Titans to be eaten, and he goes, "Wait, is that Armin's dad?"
Like, just so casually.
The line read is, "Oh, shit, I guess he's dead."
Like, it's almost played as a comedy beat. Like, was that Armin's dad? Huh.
A character we had not seen before this moment.
Yeah, because, like, a lot of the... well, that actually is a problem that will persist through the entire movie. There are a lot of cases where it's like, if I had actually been invested in the movie, the world, the story... A lot of, like, the visceral gore scenes, I think, would have been quite effective, because it's not like they did that stuff badly, but, like, I just don't care! Like, it's so obvious that I'm watching special effects of blood splatter, and, like, there are other places where it just gets awful.
When the end of the movie, where
the
blood splatter at the end of the movie looks like it was added in post at the last second.
Yeah, like...
They do the thing where blood splatters on the camera lens, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, so setting the end of the movie aside where the money obviously ran out and they stopped giving a damn, like, I mean, especially specifically this early stuff where the Titans have just breached the wall and they start attacking the town, my problem with it wasn't that, like, this, like, hellish, nightmarescape isn't an effective hellish nightmarescape. It's that I just don't give a damn about this world. Mm-hmm. I've not been invested in anyone or anything up to this point. This is honestly, like, the biggest and most important thing I have to say about this movie, because as I was parsing out what was the problem, because it's like, yeah, I'm bored too. I don't like this movie either, but why am I bored? Just because I, have never seen Attack on Titan, so I have, like, no preconceived notions about it. I'm trying to figure out, okay, from an outsider's perspective, what's going wrong here? Because this isn't just that it's, like, it's an insulting adaptation or anything. Like, it's just objectively bad. And the thing I realized that's one of the biggest problems with this movie is that they try to cram in as many anime characters into this movie as possible, and because there are so many characters, they have to dedicate dialogue scenes to so many different individuals and their motivations and their backstory and their development that it all blends together. Like, it wasn't a face-blind moment. I could not tell the people apart because there are just so many of them. It's so dingy, it's so gray, and, like, I'm not invested in any of these people. There's, like, 30 of them. And, like, it gets to the point where, like, I just don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. And that was that was why the movie bored me so much.
I really think if they were trying to save this, what they really should have done is extended the whole training arc, because that was really where we got to
get to know people.
Learn the characters as they were as individuals, and then slowly as they interact with each other, kind of build these friendships, these relationships.
And therein lies the real problem here, though, because it's a movie, they don't have the time to do that. So the only real thing to do at that point is to just cut characters, because then you can spend more time on the fewer characters that you have.
I mean,
You can do movies with casts of thousands.
Having a large cast of characters is actually a thing like war movies do a lot. And this is definitely trying to be a war movie.
Yeah,
It's
it's
trying
so you
to be
can
a
kill
war
off
movie.
a bunch of people.
But it's straight lifting characters from longer form series into a movie, and it's like you basically have to rewrite them to fit this new context.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Normally what you see in World War II movies is when you introduce a character, you get their name, but then you also get the nickname they call them in the platoon, and that is a device for the audience to go, oh, that guy
attached to them.
That guy's name is like Sprocket or something. He's the mechanic. Cool. His nickname gives me enough of a character that I can go off that.
The only thing of that we get is Sasha, who is Potato Girl.
Well, hold on. We skipped the one bit that is the first thing this thing changes from normal Attack on Titan. During the first attack, Mikasa goes after a baby.
Yeah. As people are fleeing, they're like, we gotta get inside, and they all, like, crowd into a church. Eren gets in there, Mikasa doesn't. I don't know what the hell Armin is. But, and Eren's like, why did you close the door? There's more room in here. And there very clearly isn't. You're packed shoulder to shoulder. But he's there.
But that's the line in the manga and anime, so we have to have that. Or I don't know.
No, it's not.
Oh, is it not?
This entire scene is original. It's just
Oh,
bad.
really? I assumed that the stupidity here was they were trying to
it's just
adapt
stupid.
things. Okay.
Yeah, this is just bad. So Eren is like against the window of this church, which is like a barred window, like it's a prison. Like, okay, I get your visual metaphor, but this should be a church. Whatever. He's against these walls looking out like, Mikasa, come on, you can make it. And like the crowd is slowly dispersing because they're running to more places.
This scene. I hate it so much. It makes no sense.
The crowd
Mikasa needs to hold the baby on her knees in the center of town without running.
Yeah, there's no indication that like her leg was broken
Nope.
in the scrum
She
of people.
fell over, but she wasn't trampled or anything. She was just holding baby. Just
You can't move when you're holding baby.
Yeah. And so, like, the entire crowd disperses. There's so much room. She could get up and sprint out of there. This is Mikasa we're talking about. And she just sits there, and a Titan comes over, and they cut away before we can actually see anything.
Yeah, they gotta get their big emotional moment where Mikasa dies within the first 50. This actually beginning scene's a bit longer than you think it'd be. It's probably like the first 30 minutes.
But the
Like
fact
most of this movie, it drags.
Yeah.
But the fact they drew this out so far actually, like, detracted from them having a huge emotional moment, because, like, the entire time, we were, like, literally screaming at the screen, move!
Get up! there are a lot of cases where this movie will do, like, the dramatic slow-mo shot, and you just sit there because you're not invested in anybody. You're like, can we just move on, please? This is diegetically 15 seconds that you have stretched out to a minute and a half! I don't care anymore!
Anyway, there's a 2-year time skip. As
We have the 3D maneuver gear now.
Yeah, Eren and Armin have joined the Scout Regiment, along with a bunch of characters who are from the series that,
Have no personality in this movie because they don't have time to develop them.
Again,
Sasha eats a potato. That's her thing.
eat some mashed potatoes as they're trying to plan how they're going to, scale the wall, and he's building this wall out of mashed potatoes, and
Because this is the most effective medium to explain the complex plan of the military. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's very much the case where in a better movie where I was invested in the characters, I might find that endearing, but, like, it's just so dumb. I don't care.
So, serious question for my fellow hosts. Matt, you were asleep. You can...
My opinion's invalid.
So, if you missed this, that's fine. But did at any point Jean have his face and name put together on screen? Because we hear that there is a Jean in the regiment, and there is a character who is antagonistic towards Eren. I'm pretty sure he's never addressed as Jean until the final 10 minutes.
Okay, dead ass. I did not hear the name until someone said, that's Jean up there. I had no idea who that character was.
His face and name are never put together.
I know, to some extent, I care a lot less because I don't know Attack on Titan, so I don't know that the antagonistic character is supposed to be him. But I knew there was an antagonistic character toward Eren.
But,
he never got a name, as far as I heard.
Is this movie seriously depending on you looking up the cast, promo material before going in? Of look who we got to play John! Or like,
I guess.
Honestly,
There are
possibly.
a lot of big names in here, so I fully believe, like, they 100% people to have looked up the entire cast before they watched this movie.
Well, you know what? I didn't do that because I don't care about actors. I care about characters. It's a personal preference thing, but I make a point of not knowing actors because I don't want actors' careers to color my opinion on the characters that they play. So that doesn't help me any, guys. Like,
So
introduce your actual
Look.
characters, please.
And that's the difference between, you know, Western Hollywood and, like, East Asian Hollywood. You know the actors before you know what they're in.
Another question. So we have Sasha, right? Potato Girl. Again, all the characters in this movie look the fucking same. There's no distinctive difference between their outfits, and so it's hard to visually tell anybody apart, especially our...
Mikasa has that scarf.
yeah, she has the scarf.
she has
but-
Erin's scarf. He gave it to her.
But
And now
it's-
she's dead.
especially Erin and Armin, they have the same hairstyle. They
Which,
Armin's distinctively supposed to be blonde.
Yeah.
I would have preferred Full Metal Alchemist, like, let's spray your
Bad
hair.
dye job.
Let's spray your hair blonde. Like,
I
But-
will say,
but-
Aaron and Armin got enough close-ups that, like, I could
Yeah.
tell their faces apart. But if you're looking at, like, a wide shot, you cannot tell them all. You cannot tell them apart because they're all in the same grungy military uniform. Like, there are two female characters who technically have unique outfits, but those two unique outfits look like each other, so you can't tell which one's which.
Yeah, so the reason I bring this up is because the Scout Regiment is going to go out towards the outer wall to try and, seal the breach, and then we can start killing the Titans and reclaim the lost land. And there is a scene of everyone getting on the troop transport, and there's a chain link fence where all the members of the Scout Regiment are having touching, heartfelt moments with their families on the other side of the fence. Father's proud of sons. Here, take this. Promise you'll come back to me. Blah blah blah.
This is the most war movie moment and also the least garbage, but it's still not very good.
And there is a female character who is talking with a little girl named Rico, and I don't know if this is supposed to be Sasha or not. Because
she
she
specifically says mommy has to go now.
Yeah.
So I knew there was a mother in the group, but I didn't know who it was.
I don't know if Rico's mother and Sasha are the same character because they don't look distinctly different enough.
yeah, that's the problem with a military movie where everyone's wearing military uniforms, which works in the manga because you can stylize people so that even if their clothes are the same, because it's a uniform, they do have to be the same.
Yeah.
But, like, you can stylize the hair, you can stylize the face, because you can always make sure the face is constantly in view.
But they can do some of that in live action, too. They just
They just did.
They just did it, yeah.
And this is important because we are going to skip a whole bunch of bullshit. Because they hop on the troop transport, they ride out through the wall, blah, blah, blah. Don't make too much noise. The Titans are attracted to human voices. Did you hear about the woman who's been out in the land claimed by the Titans killing them? She's an angel of death, blah, blah, blah. And
I heard the phrase Shinigami, and I wish we were watching the Death Note movie again.
bleach. I mean, Shinigami is just
That works,
literally-
yeah.
Literally just death god.
so all this happens. There is a moment where the troop transport stops. I don't know why, but
There were cows.
there were
there were
cows.
cows.
Cows, friendly reminder that cows exist. Okay, get back on leave. I
But
don't
no,
know why
I
they
hear
stayed
You
so
have
long.
to get into the mindset of this is post-apocalyptic, so that might actually be shocking.
I-
oh
I'm-
my gosh, there are cows.
Yeah, the thing to take away from this is this Titan-controlled land, but these livestock are just out there.
Unharmed.
Yeah,
Just-
the thing you're taking away from that is like, why aren't they eating cows? Not that the movie does anything with
Yeah.
that.
Well, the movie doesn't do any. The issue that I have is that there's like this, and it's very much because they know the scene that they have to get to. I guess they really don't eat cows, they do just eat people. There's that beat, but like, we haven't had the action scene yet, so we just have to have a bunch of undisciplined, freshly recruited, untrained military people milling about so they can wander off and get attacked.
Well, the way
Yeah,
they
I-
frame this is the fact that this is going to be the first troop to go beyond the wall, whereas at least in the anime and even in the manga, this is a continuous effort. They're not new.
Yeah.
Just really strange how they framed it for the movie, as if this is like brand new. We don't have a down-packed process for this, and we just have all these new recruits.
It's like they made world-building choices that made the entire story harder to understand for no reason.
Yeah. So, a pair of...
Instead of reworking the characters to fit in the context of a movie, they reworked the world building to make less sense because of reasons.
Yeah, so a pair of characters, not any of our main characters. Erin and Armin haven't done jack for shit this entire time, and we're like 45 minutes into the movie.
Erin never does anything the entire movie.
Yeah.
He does one thing.
He does one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get
But-
I'd argue that that's
but these-
bad CGI and not Erin, but that's another
No,
matter.
Aaron, the character, does something before that.
Well, okay, yeah, that's fair.
But these two random recruits wander off because I hear a baby crying. Maybe one got left behind in the evacuation. So it's like, for one, it's been 2 years. Any baby out here would have died from 1,000 different causes. But for two,
That baby would be 2 years old.
that baby would be 2 years old, yeah.
Raised by Titans.
Well, that baby would be 2 years older. At the minimum, it would be 2, if not much,
But-
noticeably older.
The thing that got me is we do not hear this baby crying. We as the audience.
That bugged me so much, because I'm like, is this... I forget your name, girl character who's being stupid right now. Are you literally just crazy, or is this just bad sound design? Because
It was
honestly,
bad sound design.
Because honestly, 50-50 either one. Turns out it was bad sound design. Whee!
Yeah, so they wander through the ruins for a bit, and they get slobbered on. It's like, oh, it's not a baby, it's a baby Titan.
Okay.
Okay, so they run, the baby Titan screams, some Titans show up, everybody runs. We stop again.
They drive from one place that looks completely identical to another place that looks completely identical.
Yeah.
And the, 15 Titans that had been chasing them and killing them turn into exactly 2, so that the 2 badass characters can show up, kill only those 2 Titans, and all the rest of them just vanished into the ether.
Yeah, and
Because the editing on this movie is also terrible.
yeah, and those 2 badass characters are, we have Levi at home, and gasp, shock, amazement, Mikasa, is that you?
Yeah, it's so weird why this movie original character is clearly just supposed to be Levi, a character who shows up later. Although, given the world building they've given, Levi's story makes no sense.
Yeah.
So,
Now, actually, hold on, I think I just thought of something else. The thing is that the omnidirectional gear is new. We see the scout regiment at their graduation or whatever, and some lady weirdo character is like, with this new 3D maneuver gear, we can reach the Titan's weak point and attack them, and we can finally win. So, it's new. This stuff is fresh off the rack. But apparently not Levi and Mikasa have been out here going full Rambo for months with this stuff?
Timeline does not add up.
Oh my god.
Nothing in this movie adds up.
So Mikasa is being very distant and cold because, sure.
because the world is cruel and you watched me die, I yelled at you to come in
You
for
could
safety.
also have moved, in any direction.
Yeah.
You let me die. Why am I supposed to do anything? I'm a strong, independent woman who now lives with her boyfriend, not Levi, and does whatever he says without question. Oh, I see the independence is really kind of not meshing well with what's going on. Oh no.
There's this really weird scene where Erin is talking with this whole thing that, as Matt is describing, happens.
I don't even know what the scene is supposed to convey, honestly.
And not Levi walks up and sensually feeds Mikasa an apple.
Yeah, there's a lot of sexual tension between
Everyone, actually.
Yeah, actually,
Everyone.
yeah, a lot. But Shikishima is the name of the totally original OC that, if I'm looking at this correctly, is effectively 3 of the officers rolled into one character who's super cool at everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a weird, compared to everyone else, there's a super weird sexual dynamic between Mikasa and him.
Yeah.
They are a step away from making out every scene they're in.
They really are. But you know what's better than being a step away from making out? Watching 2 characters actually just fuck.
Well, you don't understand. We could die at any time. Hey, Aaron.
No,
But it's just questionable why they added that in. It's just like, but why?
So the two
The
characters.
movie's too short to
Why
add these things in.
Why are you subjecting the audience to this?
Because we need to reach 90 minutes.
Two characters who are maybe named, I don't know. They're just having sex in the corner.
Two people are watching. I don't care.
Is it not Sasha?
I think it's Potato
Sasha.
Girl.
It's Sasha.
We don't know.
It's whatever.
Rico's mom.
Yeah, it's Rico's mom because she forces Erin's hand onto her breast and then it's just, hey, I've got a daughter at home. Don't tell me you've got anything against single moms. And
Will you be her father?
Why is all of this a scene?
And she's like sexually assaulting Erin, and thank God the Titans show up.
Yeah, well...
The Titans are significantly less uncomfortable than the scene we've been subjected to.
I'm not 100% sure, because the first thing we see is the hole in the wall where a Titan is just like, ooh.
It's the Peeper Titan.
Peeper Titan! Titan Tom!
Now, okay, so I believe...
And now it's time for our climactic action scene.
Well,
I'm going to go get a drink.
I believe, unfortunately, we've skipped over the thing that infuriated me by far the most, because if we're getting to our climactic action scene, we definitely skipped the point where a guy sumo throws a fully grown Titan.
Yeah, there's one dude who does not use a 3D maneuver gear on this thing, and just...
He does some sumo slaps, the Titan goes to grab him, he leans out of the way, and then literally just sumo throws a full-size Titan lifted clean off the ground and flips it ass over tea kettle.
There is a super weird dynamic where the Titans are unkillable monsters that literally will swat someone out of the air and liquefy them into paste on a wall, and also big dumb papier-mâché babies that are killed in one hit by
a dude just hitting them with their hand.
Jake, I know you're not aware. That is not Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is smashing people into paste.
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy is.
And it's not the only time that happens. And like
Sumo Man. Yeah, Sumo Man, he has a sumo throw once, but for the rest of the movie, his go-to weapon is a woodsman's axe that he's cutting Titan tendons with.
Which apparently kills the Titans.
And my immediate non-Attack on Titan brain, my new to the series, when I see an apocalypse story like this, I get annoyed when modern military technology from 20 years ago could easily handle this problem, and yet supposedly the world has been destroyed. We see an attack helicopter. That would easily annihilate these papier-mâché nonsense things.
In all fairness, we see the rusted-out carapace of an attack helicopter.
But they had those at one point.
They did.
Should have solved the problem.
I mean, clearly it didn't.
Yeah.
that is the fastest way to annoy me when it comes to an apocalypse story. There's a reason I can't watch most zombie movies, because they don't scare me, they annoy me.
Anyway, it's time for our big final climactic action scene.
Which takes up about 45 minutes of the movie, so we're only really halfway through, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so it's it was so uncomfortable, the scene that leads up into this, but then we get this, and the entire time it's is it over yet?
Uh-huh. Part of this mission was they needed to retrieve some of their lost explosives for the final attack in order to seal the wall up again. Yes, Matt?
I don't even know. This fight just kind of breaks out, and the first thing that happens is the couple that were having sex, the dude gets ripped off from them and eaten.
Yeah. And it drives the girl crazy.
And she...
Understandably.
Well, it drives her crazy to an extent. She gets into a car.
Someone in
nebulous
homeless grandma robe attire steals the explosives truck because the general dude mentioned in passing that there might have been rebels, and that's why we hid the explosives in an underground bunker that wasn't even the door that supposedly was locked.
She disrupts this plot somehow in her grief.
Yeah, and she jumps in the car because
she chucks a Molotov cocktail into the back of the truck with the explosives and then drives it into...
and then does a weird, like, turn that causes the truck to start, like, barrel rolling. Like,
yes.
She's amazing at driving, I guess.
Yeah, she like has the back of the car fishtail into a Titan's leg, which sets all the explosives off and like barely damages one Titan.
And it's great because we have not Levi sitting on a rooftop going like, I admire your bravery, girl. Such a good sacrifice.
Essentially, he's just there to provide commentary.
He literally just says creepy lines like, ah, yes, fight the Titans. Although that was for naught. And I'm like, yeah, because you hit it in the ankles. If you don't hit it in the back of its neck, it's just going to regenerate. Oh, I guess the Titans don't regenerate in this at points for some reason. Because I think the one that she hits with the explosives is dead. For some reason.
Yep. I think somebody goes and cuts its neck while it's down, but the fact that I'm not sure tells you everything.
I thought the whole thing got vaporized in the explosion, which just brings up the fact that, like, how did you lose to these things in the first place?
Well, the synopsis on Wikipedia literally just says, Lil, who just lost her lover, sacrifices herself.
Yeah.
That's her name?
Yeah.
It's Lil.
Okay.
Well, funnily enough, lover's name, Phil.
Oh,
No!
Anyway, yeah.
Cut that! Hey guys, editing Sam here. I'm not going to listen to Sam from the past. That was actually pretty funny.
I just had to look that up because at first, like, I thought she legitimately went insane or something, but no, she apparently is supposed to be wrought with grief and
I
trying
actually
to get some, like, type of revenge.
I recognize that character from when she cried out that her boyfriend was eaten. Like, she has the benefit of having her face being very emotive on screen in 2 occasions.
And, like, one other thing that's worth noting is there are a lot of characters who make monumentally stupid decisions. In a movie that wasn't so frustratingly boring, like, people are, like, acting in fear and grief and not making rational decisions. That would be fine. But, like, who are any of these people? I don't care. So, like, when someone does a stupid thing like that, like, in a better movie, that would have been tragic. But in a better movie, she would have been an actual character.
Or, if you are gonna spend an hour and 30 minutes watching something anyway, just watch the first 4 episodes of Attack on Titan, which covers this plot, while also having a training arc somehow.
Again, so we can build familiarity with these characters.
So, anyway, none of this is important. We've seen Titans get sumo wrestled. We've seen Titans get chopped by a woodsman's axe.
By the same guy.
Yeah.
I hate that guy a lot.
He's not the only one who can do it because Creepy Not Levi is able to kick one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Creepy Not Levi tackles one, and then as it's getting up, stomps on it, and this thing that is 12 times his size shudders under his kick, and I'm like, what are we even?
So we have that guy. We also have girl with bow who shoots Titans in the eyes in order to stun them.
Did she have a name?
I don't know.
Think so.
Like, the only thing I remember is there was a girl with a bow. She literally did nothing. I don't think she ever spoke. And I don't know if she got named.
All I know about using a bow on Titans is if you're not shooting it in the back of the neck, I don't know what you're doing.
Well, the really hilarious thing, like, one of the things I thought was going to happen is that she was going to shoot it, because it's like, the first time we see her actually shooting the bow, because she has that in the movie for an inordinate amount of time where she does not use it.
Well,
and then
I thought she was going to specifically use a specific, like, they zeroed in specifically on the arrow tip, and I'm like, okay,
does it
like
do
hollow
a thing?
point. So I'm thinking it's going to immediately, penetrate, like,
through the neck or something.
Through the neck or through the brain or something.
Well, the brain doesn't matter. Because the thing about Titans is this movie doesn't do a great job of explaining it to you, but the reason why they're so powerful is they pretty much instantly heal from all injuries due to a gland in the back of their neck, which is the thing that, like, regenerates them. And that's why you've got to cut that, because once that's severed, they can't regenerate and they die.
But yeah, at first, what I thought was going to happen is that because the first time she actually uses the bow that she's had this entire movie, there is a Titan walking face on towards her, and I'm like, is she going to shoot it through the front of the neck? It's going to come out the back and kill it? Because again, if that's the case, how did you lose to these things? They're made of paper mache. That doesn't happen.
But she shoots it in the eye in order to stun it. So we have several ways of Titan fighting, and, like, And so this allows other people in the Scout Regiment to use their 3D maneuver gear to get at the back of the neck. So we have, like, a methodology of Titan fighting established. Chop the ankles to make it fall. Shoot it in the eyes to stun it. Once that's done, cut the back of the neck. You know, I can almost accept that. It seems like after all this chaos, they're finally starting to rally and get something important done.
There's so many cases throughout this movie where it's like, hey, looks like they're actually going to be competent now. Oh, wait, never mind.
Well,
and then Armin gets grabbed by a Titan, and none of this works anymore.
What's also specifically is pretty great is Erin is a character who I guess is named John, according to the synopsis. I would not have known that in the movie. But someone is like, we gotta get out of here. This is a no-win scenario. And Erin, being Erin for the first time in this movie, goes, nope, I am going to run and fight them on my own. And within, about 30 seconds of making that decision, has his leg bitten off.
Well, no, and like this is where Creepy Not Levi is at his most creepy, because Aaron is like 3D maneuver gearing around, he's flying around the Titans, he's cutting at their necks, and Not Levi's standing up on a roof, arms crossed, like, you wounded it, now finish it.
Yes.
Fly, Aaron.
Because there was, and I don't know if you guys had fallen asleep during this part, but there was a scene between Not Levi and Aaron.
I barely remember
where he's like, they give that theme state. What is it? What do you call an animal that hides behind a fence and is scared of wolves? And it's like
cattle.
I've heard from some of the like fan translations of the like fan English covers of the some of the OPs that this is like a thematic thing. So I guess we're just
doing that now.
Hitting the audience with a 2x4 because we can't do anything in this movie.
Well, because the metaphor of the series is, hey, you humans aren't in control. You've retreated to a giant fenced-in pen.
Yeah.
Is the metaphor of the series. Like,
yeah, and it's like, we haven't done anything to really establish this throughout the entire movie because we're too busy saying that technology is evil, maybe?
That's a weird take this added, was technology is evil is a movie original take that it really wants to drive home, but also not.
Yeah.
Because the movie isn't clear on whether or not that statement is accurate or not. Is the movie going to subvert it or not? So, like, there's a scene where we have to state the themes from the actual series we're adapting.
So, Aaron kills a Titan in his little rampage, gets his leg bitten off as he does in the show, and collapses on a roof. Jean escaped the roof at some point and tells the crew, yeah, no, Aaron's probably dead.
Well, he escapes the roof because the team works together to distract the Titans.
Right,
and he sneaks off in that. Because he was being trapped, surrounded, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
Armin's being vored right now.
Yeah, Armin. Okay, I fucking hated this. I was awake at this point just out of pure rage. Armin gets grabbed by a Titan and it's going slowly, going to eat him.
It's it's doing that thing where it does the slow-mo dramatic, and it's like, I don't care about these characters. Just have it be the diegetic 15 seconds because then it will be over faster.
But Axe Man, man with axe, goes and chops the Titan in the ankles. Nothing happens, and he says, damn, I didn't cut deep enough. Arrow Girl goes to shoot it and hits it in the arms several times, and it doesn't even flinch, doesn't even try for the eyes.
This one annoyed me even more so because she had a back shot to it. She could have shot it in the nape of the neck and didn't.
There's no reason to shoot a Titan in the arms. Yeah. That does nothing to it.
And then a different member of the Scout Regiment leaps onto its neck. He's got it right on the back. He swings, but the blades break because that's what they do. And that's the thing that happens in the show. And he's like, damn, I can't get through. And I'm like, okay, you have more blades. Just draw more blades and cut again. Nope, I'm just gonna jump away.
Yeah, you see those giant canisters on the sides that hold, like, constant replenishment of the razor blade swords you have? Like, that's the entire point.
I'm leaving now. It's over. Sorry, Armin.
My planet needs me.
Just, you actually had a method. You had...
It's okay. Aaron needs to sacrifice himself in actually a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, they recreate
recreate the scene from the anime. That's why it's so good.
Yeah, it actually... This is like one of the few times where the CGI on the Titans looked fine.
It's actually,
And that's just because we only saw the mouth.
It's the inside of the mouth looks great as Armin is about to be swallowed when suddenly it switches to a hand grabbing him, and Erin is holding the Titan's mouth open and just like, not gonna let you die, rips him out. Which anime Erin at this point, you've determined a long period of time of he is
buff as hell.
He is very strong because he worked a lifetime for this, and also is dangerously self-sacrificing for his friends, which comes to a head in the fact he literally grabs Armin, throws him out of the mouth, and then is not able to get out on his own and is eaten.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then everything's ruined because it looks like he goes down like a fun slide when he's swallowed.
He still loses the arm.
Like, it literally, as we get a shot of Erin going down the esophagus, and like it's like a tube of pink plastic lit from the outside. It looks really bad.
Yeah. So, what? We have the classic scene of Mikasa being told that Erin's dead, except she doesn't give a shit about him in this movie, so nothing happens. Armin is sadly holding Erin's arm.
In the anime, Mikasa kills a crap ton of Titans out of rage that her friend is dead. In this, Mikasa kills a crap ton of Titans because she's a badass who always kills a crap ton of Titans.
But Mikasa, you're almost out of gas in your 3D maneuver gear. How can you tell that? Oh no, I'm out of gas!
And it honestly looks more like the thing jammed than it was out of gas, because they don't do anything to establish how those things work. I just love the image of here, have arm. Like, like the way that it's shot
Can I offer you your dead friend's arm in this trying time?
It looks like you need a hand.
It's like, you start the thing by showing her the arm and then go, by the way, Erin's dead. You think you would tell them Erin's dead to gauge whether or not she wants to see the body.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
So, you know how it goes from here, audience.
She finds the Titan that ate Erin.
We call it the Fupa Titan because it's fat as hell.
Yeah,
It's got a big distended beer belly.
It's weirdly indestructible in this scene only.
Mm-hmm. You were gonna say, Matt?
No, I was gonna say it's one of the only Titans that have, like, they're physically deformed, when the majority of the Titans we see look like a person in a morph suit. Like,
Yeah.
So, you know how it goes from here. Erin turns into a Titan, breaks free, kills a whole bunch of them. Everyone's like, is that a Titan fighting on our side? And, Jake, you mentioned earlier that the soundtrack sounds like Tokusatsu Godzilla.
It gets worse.
This is the most Tokusatsu moment in the whole fucking movie, because I swear I have nothing to back this up except the evidence of my own eyes, but it looks like throughout this entire rapidly cut action scene they swap between shots of a guy in a suit, a CGI Erin Titan, and a puppet like something out of Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Yeah, it's the scene is cut so weird. Each scene lasts like a second at most. And you'll see people doing, like, wrestling moves on a set, dressed as Titans, cut with a whole bunch of CGI overlay, but it's still obviously people doing it.
Yeah.
Cut to weirdly focused CGI fighting each other. Cut to, I'm pretty sure, a puppet.
Yeah.
There were so many action shots that were clearly supposed to be wide shots, but because they knew how bad the special effects looked, they were face close-ups and had no business being face close-ups. I literally could not follow anything that was going on.
So, I will admit, at this point of the movie, I felt it redeemed itself, because it was just hilarious how bad their climactic action scene was. It was terrible.
It had gone from boring bad, the worst kind of bad, to hilarious bad, the best kind of bad.
I was still upset about it, but I was able to watch it.
Well, and I mean, the cardinal sin is the amount of time it takes to get to the hilarious bad. Like, honestly, I think that's the big difference between the Full Metal Alchemist movie and this one, is that the Full Metal Alchemist movie was hilariously stupid from the word go. This one took an hour and 15 minutes to get to, like, 30 minutes of kind of hilariously dumb.
Like, just raging about why are they doing any of this? Anyway, Erin Titan kills a bunch of Titans and then collapses for some reason.
Exhaustion?
And as he's collapsing, we get a character who I thought was Shikishima, but I have had co-hosts disagree with me on this.
I'm pretty sure it's Suda, the guy who was like Erin's friend at the wall.
Regardless, he says something really weird. You've got to cut him out before the Titan form absorbs him.
Yeah. Like,
Which is an insane amount of information to know and also shout publicly, given whatever level of knowledge he has about what's going on. Meanwhile, audience, you have no chance of this even being hinted at, because they cut all the backstory that would have even remotely alluded to this.
I only knew that Eren turning into a Titan was going to happen because I had known that had been spoiled about Attack on Titan to me years ago. Nothing in this movie suggests that anything like that is going to happen.
Yep. So, Mikasa cuts Eren out of the Eren Titan's nape, and he collapses on the ground. His eye opens and it's red, and cut to credits.
Which, I at this point was very upset with the movie, but once the credits started and I heard a vaguely hip-hop beat, I'm just went, guys, if this movie ends with a rap made for the movie, this instantly becomes the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I'm gonna be the anti-hero.
Yep, and then it starts rapping, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Full on! End of Men in Black, end of Wild Wild West. It is just...
Like,
Best part of the movie.
They got Will Smith to do it because that's what those two movies were.
No, it's the same aesthetic.
Okay.
It's that aesthetic.
Yep.
It's...
So,
do we have discussion topics for this one?
Well,
I don't...
Favorite character?
Favorite character?
there were no characters.
I'll jump in, Matt here. I'll say Shikishima only because of the amount of Gary Stu self-insert he was of just watching the action happen, going, I could have solved this action on my own, but didn't.
You know what? I think I've got to agree with Matt. Shikishima, not Levi. We have Levi at home, is the most interesting and unique character, which is to say he's the only interesting and unique character, and therefore the only one that sticks out in my mind, so I guess he's my favorite.
I literally do not have a favorite character because I only know Eren, Armin, and Mikasa's name because they get shouted. People shout their names at each other so much. Those are the only names I know, and there is no character attached to any of those names. As far as I'm concerned, there were no characters in this movie, so I don't have a favorite.
How about you, Jay?
Okay, my favorite was Fupa Titan.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Fupa Titan?
Did you say your favorite character was the Fupa Titan?
That's how bad it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we might have glossed over the amount. This Titan is very fat, but only in its gut and groin.
Yeah.
Is the only fat on this thing. It looks weird.
So funny, though.
Like, Fupa Titan is the only way to describe it.
Do you guys want to watch part 2?
No.
No.
Because, this movie came out during the let's have part 2s to everything, which I guess even affected Japan. Mm-hmm. And there is another hour-and-a-half long movie that I have no interest in watching.
We're not watching it.
There was one thing that I wanted to mention, that this is just something that I couldn't help but notice, and it got to the point where I turned it into a game because me noticing this was actually more interesting than anything that was actually happening on screen. But the sheer number of matte painting backgrounds. They had no sets, everything was on a green screen.
And that's amazing. You have so much CGI, and you still have matte painting backgrounds, like...
And it's so pervasive and so noticeable. It happens literally, I made a game
scene.
of noticing every time it happened, and that was more interesting than the actual movie.
But like, Jacob, that just really speaks to, like, someone making this movie was inept at some level, because there's a reason you don't use matte painting backgrounds anymore, because they look like paintings in HD. They only work in lower definitions where it's blurred. Like,
yeah.
And this movie's definitely in HD, like...
Yes.
Though the modeling on some of the rubble will tell you otherwise. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again to the OverMangaCast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all the places that let you do that. Red Circle, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Podchaser,
YouTube.
YouTube is great if you want to comment on individual episodes.
Yep.
As always, reach out to us at OverMangaCast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you have something you'd like us to read, preferably after next week. We're not going to be watching anything again for a long time because overall, I think this has been a negative experience for us. But,
we are at 1 for 3 at this point.
Yeah.
But speaking of next week, hey Jake, you probably have the most positive opinion of this. What are we watching?
We are watching Dragon Ball Evolution. Basically, let's make a Hollywood movie out of a Dragon Ball fanfic.
All right, so tune in next week for that. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.